suspension really is quite firm, and especially with this car fitted with a sports pack, it's even firmer. But that's a good thing when driving really windy, you know, country roads. It's not too firm though that you're going to be running to your chiropractor, like, you know, to crack your bones after every single drive. But certainly if you want a softer feel, don't go for the optional sports pack. The Powertrain is connected to a 6-speed manual stick, and it really has a short throw, precise gearing action. You'd swear the cogs are attached directly beneath the gear stick here. The steering is just so precise also. Very small steering wheel, no power steering to speak of. This little baby of lightweightness doesn't need power steering at all. And it gives a really good feedback on the road. You can feel positive and negative camber on the road so precisely through the wheel. It just inspires confidence when you're driving. The car's weight distribution is set up 40% front, 60% rear. The wheels on the front are 195 in width and they're 225s at the rear. Now, because of those two things, it means that the car tends to understeer when you approach the limit of its grip, which is a really good thing. The Lotus engineers deliberately designed it in that way so that if you do start to run into trouble, you basically recovering from an understeer is much easier for a beginner than recovering from an oversteer where the back's kind of spinning out in a pendulum effect. Because of this, when you start to get close to the limits, you can back off and reclaim control really easily, and that basically means that you feel safer exploring closer to the limits of what the car's capable of, and it really does start to feel like the car corners like it's built to go on rails. It's a common expression I've heard when referring to the Elise, and I do have to tend to agree. So I know this car is an absolute hoot to drive, but what about its practicality? What about its fuel consumption? Well, it actually offers a combined fuel consumption of 8.8 litres per 100, which is pretty impressive. That's pretty much down to the fact the car's so lightweight and it only uses a 1.8 litre engine after all. So let's make a comparison back to the Porsche 997 that we looked at earlier. Now, that returns a figure of 17.9 litres per 100. So that's near its damn 10 litres difference. It's pretty impressive. With the little extra refinements now fitted to the modern Elise, like this Elise R we're in, I really feel that it's more approachable as a day-to-day driver's car to, say, work and back, like you would do, say, with a Porsche Boxster. But don't get me wrong, it's no way near up to the level of Porsche Boxster in interior, cabin, build, fit and feel quality. But that's a good thing, isn't it? Because the whole philosophy of Colin Chapman, the founder of Lotus, was to build raw, lightweight sports cars and not a day-to-day driver, you know, to go to work and back. So I think this is still in line with his philosophy that he would have wanted for one of his models on his range. I feel that if Colin Chapman was still around with us today, he would be proud of what the modern Elise has evolved into. In a world where we still want more luxury piled onto our cars, it's great for the Lotus to be able to release still a relatively raw sports car. It's a car that can be driven to work day to day if you wish, but also on the weekends if you want to get out for that Sunday drive, you can really have a good go on your favourite country roads. So how can I summarise this car then? Well, positives. This is one of the best handling road and track cars you can buy in the market at the moment. It really is that good. The Lotus handling and dynamics they build into the car is just excellent. It just gives you such a connected feeling. If you haven't driven one of these cars before, I urge you so much to go and take one for a test drive. You won't regret it. Negatives? Well, it does have a little bit of an uninteresting exhaust note at times. Maybe Lotus could have tuned it a bit more, give it a bit more of a sporty sound, would have really benefited the sound of the car. Also, I feel the chassis and the dynamics of the car is so good, it could actually handle a little bit more engine power. But but these are only minor gripes. So how much does this car cost? Well, $95,000 on the road, and that's with no options at all, so it's not cheap. If you want to put some of the options on, like the touring pack, the sports pack, the limited slip diff, as I mentioned earlier, well, you're looking at around $120,000 on the road, so it's not cheap. But bang for your buck, this is one of the best sports cars you can buy.